Rain had been falling since morning, but by nightfall it became a storm that seemed to carry all of Nathan Hale's buried memories with it. The wind howled against the tall glass windows of his countryside mansion, the kind of place that once held laughter, music, and the warmth of someone who called it home. But since his wife, Evelyn, had passed 3 years ago, the house had become an echo chamber full of things, but empty of life. Nathan stood by the fireplace, staring at the flickering flames, his jaw tightening as thunder rolled outside. He'd spent the day drowning himself in work, pretending he didn't remember what day it was. Evelyn's birthday. He reached for the framed photo on the mantel, her smile frozen in time. "Happy birthday, Eve," he whispered under his breath. "I hope wherever you are, you're warm." Just then, the doorbell rang. Once, twice sharp, desperate knocks cutting through the storm. Nathan frowned. His nearest neighbor was nearly a mile away, and no one came up here uninvited. He grabbed his coat and opened the heavy wooden door. And there she was. A young woman stood at the doorstep, drenched from head to toe. Her hair clung to her cheeks, her dress soaked through, one hand gripping a small overnight bag. The other rested protectively over her swollen belly. "I am sorry," she said, voice trembling. "My car broke down near the road. I tried calling for help, but there's no signal out here. I just need somewhere to stay for the night." Nathan blinked, momentarily taken aback by her appearance. There was something about her face, a quiet familiarity he couldn't quite place. But he pushed the thought aside and stepped back. "Come in before you freeze," he said gently. "You shouldn't be out in this weather." She hesitated, eyes darting nervously before stepping inside. Water dripped onto the floor as Nathan guided her toward the fire. "Sit down," he said, fetching a towel from the hallway. "You're soaked. I'll make you some tea." "Thank you," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't mean to bother you. I just didn't know where else to go." As Nathan handed her the towel, he caught sight of the trembling in her hands. "You're shivering," he said, concerned. "Let me get you something dry to wear." She nodded, clutching the towel close. When he returned with one of Evelyn's old cardigans, she stared at it for a moment, almost like she recognized it. But she said nothing and slipped it on carefully, her fingers brushing over the fabric as if it carried a story she didn't dare tell. Nathan sat opposite her, studying her face in the firelight. Her features were soft, but there was something hauntingly familiar about her eyes, Hazel, the same as Evelyn's. The same spark of defiance mixed with sadness. He cleared his throat. "What's your name?" "Clara," she said quietly. "Clara James." He froze for a moment. That last name, James, Evelyn's maiden name. His heart skipped. "James?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, you knew my sister, didn't you?" The room seemed to still. The fire crackled, thunder rolled, and Nathan felt the air leave his chest. "Your sister?" he whispered. "Evelyn James?" Tears welled in Clara's eyes. She looked away, her voice breaking. "You were her husband." The silence that followed felt heavier than the storm outside. Nathan leaned back, his thoughts racing, the memories of Evelyn flooding back all at once. The way she'd smiled that morning before the accident, the way she'd said she wanted her younger sister to visit someday. He swallowed hard. "I didn't even know she had a sister. She never mentioned you." Clara looked down, rubbing her hands together as if trying to gather courage. "She wouldn't have," she said softly. "We weren't close. After our parents died, she left home. I was still a teenager. We lost touch. Nathan frowned. Then why now? Why come here? Her gaze met his, and for a moment, he saw Evelyn's fire in her eyes. I didn't come here looking for you, she said. I didn't even know this was your house. My car broke down. I was just trying to find shelter. Nathan exhaled, guilt pricking at his chest. I see. Then fate has a strange sense of humor. Clara gave a faint smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. Maybe fate just doesn't know when to stop testing people, she murmured. They sat in silence for a while, the sound of rain filling the space between them. Nathan poured her tea and tried not to stare too long at her face, but it was impossible. Every glance reminded him of the woman he'd lost, the same curve of the jaw, the same half-smile. And yet, Clara carried a quiet pain of her own, one that seemed much deeper than the storm outside. "Where's the baby's father?" Nathan asked softly. Her eyes flickered toward the window. "Gone," she said simply. "A long time ago." Nathan nodded, not pressing further. There was too much unsaid already. When Clara finally rose to leave the next morning, the sky was clear, washed clean by the night's rain. But Nathan found himself saying the words before he could stop them. "Stay," he said. "Just until you figure things out. This house has more space than I need, and you shouldn't be alone right now." Clara hesitated, searching his face for something kindness maybe, or the truth behind his offer. "I don't want to be a burden," she said softly. "You're not," he replied. "Maybe we both need some company." She smiled faintly, the first real smile he'd seen from her. "Okay," she said, "just for a little while." But neither of them knew then how much that little while would change everything. The next few days slipped by like soft ripples across still water. Clara settled into the guest room at the end of the hall, spending her mornings in silence by the garden window and her evenings helping Nathan prepare dinner. Their conversations were simple weather, books, tea, but beneath the surface, something heavier lingered. Nathan found himself drawn to the small details, the way she hummed softly while folding blankets, the way she smiled when the baby kicked, her hand pressing against her stomach with quiet wonder. Each moment carried traces of a warmth he'd thought he'd lost forever. One evening, as golden light poured through the windows, Nathan noticed Clara standing in Evelyn's old music room. Her fingers hovered above the keys of the grand piano, trembling slightly before she pressed one note. The soft sound filled the space like a ghost returning home. "She used to play that," Nathan said from the doorway. Clara turned, startled. "I know," she whispered. "She taught me when I was little, before she left." He stepped inside slowly, the past tugging at his heart. "Why didn't she ever tell me about you?" Clara's lips parted, but it took her a moment to find words. "Because of me," she said finally. "Because of what I did." Nathan frowned. "What do you mean?" Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "We fought the night she left home. I was angry, jealous even. She had dreams, love, freedom, and I felt trapped. I said terrible things. Told her I wished she'd never come back." Her voice cracked as she continued. "The last time I saw her, she was crying. And then, months later, I heard she'd married a man named Nathan Hale. She wrote me once, but I couldn't bring myself to reply. And when I finally tried to find her, it was too late." Nathan's chest tightened. The sorrow in her voice mirrored his own grief. "I blamed myself for her death," Clara said, tears spilling now. When I found out who you were that night at the door, I almost ran. But I was tired of running, of hiding, of punishing myself. I thought maybe being here could help me remember her, the way she deserved. Nathan stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. You remind me of her, but you're not her. You're still here, Clara. And maybe that's why you came. Maybe this, he gestured between them, is how both of us learn to let her go. Clara met his gaze, her tears softening into something like peace. Maybe, she said, or maybe she just wanted us to take care of each other. Outside, the rain began again, gentler this time, almost cleansing. Nathan looked toward the window, then back at Clara. Stay, he said quietly, not because you have to, but because this house finally feels alive again. Clara smiled through her tears, resting her hand over her heart. For Evelyn, she whispered. For Evelyn, he echoed. And as the storm faded into night, the house no longer felt like a memory, it felt like home again.